I'm glad the audience didn't hear that. I mean, well, hello everyone. Welcome to the Common Dense podcast. It is Tuesday, the last Tuesday of the month, and of course, as per normal, I gather three of my good friends and we discuss the news. We comment densely, as it were, upon the news to occur over the last several weeks, usually a month or so, maybe a bit more. Depends. It varies. Hi, my name's Ebak, and I'm joined, as ever, by the other three members of this little entourage. I'm, of course, joined by Ms. Shadow Phoenix Rider.
Hello, it's me.
Every Burr.
Hello, it's me.
That way. And, of course, Lemming down in the corner.
Yay, how's it going, everybody?
And we, of course, are going to comment densely upon the news that has been gone over the last several weeks. We've got quite a little bit to discuss, but we're going to get onto the main topic later on. So there's that to look forward to. Let's kick things off. Bert, do you want to start us off with our first news topic? I caught you off guard. That's fine. I'll take it.
You caught me off guard. You can start with the first news topic.
Yeah, so basically from Ubisoft. Ubisoft, unfortunately, are still stubbornly promoting the NFT platform Quartz. Now also offers NFT hats to their developers as a thank you, instead of, like, actually paying them. Actual bonuses.
It's a lovely thing to do, like involve your employees in a pyramid scheme without their consent. That's nice.
Yeah.
That's lovely.
I've heard of benefits, but I know you get benefits with the job, but that's not a benefit. That's a consequence.
Mm.
I mean, this whole NFT thing. And I really hate how the gaming industry is really trying its utmost to just push this NFT thing. And there's just like a stone wall of people saying, fuck off. Right now.
This needs to happen! And everybody else in the world is just going, no.
Yeah, it's just basically...
Fuck off.
Yeah. It's a slap fight between the 5% and the 1%. I don't see why everybody else needs to get involved.
That's precisely what you mentioned as well. It is literally the 5% against the 1%. That's what this all boils down to.
Yeah, basically, it's just like, but we want to be the ones with the jackboot on everybody's throat. It's just like, could you just fucking stop?
And then the rest of us just going, you're wasting everybody's time and money. Please stop.
Please stop.
Exactly. And also destroying the environment and also stealing all the graphics cards.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
So there's that. To be fair, it doesn't surprise me. Ubisoft have always been they've always been slimy, in my opinion, Ubisoft. They've never really, in my opinion, had their knuckles wrapped quite as hard as they should have. They tend with all the allegations going on, they've Activision Blizzard King had them won over. Ubisoft tends to get overshadowed by EA in terms of game quality, in terms of people what they think game quality is, which is lesser quality. When really, I think Ubisoft are perhaps the most slimy company in the games industry.
No,
go on. It's because they've managed to cultivate this nature of theirs of always being at that just below the you fucked up level and just being, oh, Ubisoft, you did it again. Stop it.
Yeah, when really they should be on the same level as Activision Blizzard at this point. Just like...
Yeah, at this point, it's less they've like burnt the house down and more they just keep forgetting to change the toilet roll every time. And you're just like, oh, you did it again. Come on. And we get that level of angry with them rather than you burnt down our fucking house. You what?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's true.
So the next news item. Do you want to take this one, Burr?
I was thinking that Lemming could take it, but
Actually, given the topic, have you got the actual list open, Lemming?
Yes.
Cool. Do you want to take the next topic since it involves something you're interested in?
Yes, indeed. The head of Battlestate Games, also known as the game studio that's making Escape from Tarkov, has promised 0 NFTs will be used in the development or anything with their company. Well done,
Thank
Nikita.
God. But also, it's kind of depressing that that's a PR move.
Yeah.
It's depressing that it's a PR move, that you've got to announce that you have no plans whatsoever to do with it.
And the fact that it's also depressing in that they're a Russian company. With the way the things are right now, they're our guiding light in the gaming industry.
God, yeah. Jeez.
That ain't right.
No, I don't like that.
Nikita, you done good, boy.
Like
Well
that.
done.
I don't like that one bit. Okay.
No.
No.
Rip.
But yeah, and Nikita also recently started his own Twitter account. It already has 70,000 followers.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Good for him. It's one thing I want to bring out. It wasn't actually in our news cycle for the wing, but it has something which has happened. It is related to NFTs, and that is Platinum Games' executive Atsushi Inaba and Hideki Kamiya. I'm sorry if I mispronounced those. My apologies. Speaking in opposition against Konami's decision to introduce NFTs, effectively saying they're not surprised that Konami got involved with NFTs. I think the direct quote is, where is it?
Oh, I found it on Scarf's Discord somewhere. Let's see if I can dig it up again.
Shout out to our colleague Scarfulu.
Shout out to our great colleague Scarfulu. We've got a big news article to announce right at the end. You should follow Scarfulu. But yeah, if you can find that quote, Shadow, it'd be much appreciated because I'm finding nothing here. The one thing I will comment on, there was something which they did say, which the people who are trying to promote NFTs and partner with gaming companies, their conversations seem extremely one-sided, which I think is accurate for what's going on. Yeah. What was that comment?
Yeah, Kamiya said, not really. If it smells like money, Konami's going to be there in a heartbeat.
Which is funny, because it's almost like they don't care about money with all the gaming franchises they have under them, and they could be making money with, but they're not. Well, no, actually, that's a lie. They are making money. They're making pachinko machines. They're making machines that dispense money.
And take money.
And take money.
More money than they dispense.
More money than they dispense, funny enough. I'm going to leave the next article and just put a pin in that, because that's going to be related to our topic of the day as well. From PC Gamer, female Tekken player, Tanu Kana, a Japanese pro Tekken player of Cyclops Elite Gaming Group, was fired from her team. And you may be thinking, oh, what's the big deal about that? It's because she made a comment about how men under 170 centimeters, that's 5'7", have no human rights. She was also making all kinds of derogatory, awful comments on black people, LGBTQ+, women with small breasts, and so on and so forth.
Poor people as well.
And poor people. Let's not forget the poor people. Sorry?
And bald people.
Yeah,
bald people. And bald people, which 50% of this podcast takes exception to. In fact, no, 100% of this podcast take exception to. Just 50% of the podcast take more exception to. Then
50% of this podcast are afflicted with baldness.
Yeah, it's just like, basically, she insulted the entire podcast, but in different ways.
Different ways. Yeah.
Yes.
Like saying I was evil in my past life. What the fuck?
Yeah, I'm sure. I feel that criteria. I'm LGBTQ plus. So yeah.
And there's just like women with short breasts. I'm just like, are you just jealous that you can't sleep on your front? Because I can. It's fucking amazing.
She was fired.
Yeah.
Now I will say, devil's advocate, and I'm putting the devil's advocate out there. We should say that her comments were meant in jest, although unfortunately, it's very easy in retrospect to say just a prank, bro. But people actually get upset about that stuff.
I'm going to call bullshit on that, because you basically spent an entire tweet calling out everybody.
Yeah, and you can do hyperbolic jokes, but you need to do the hyperbole in a positive sense, not a negative sense. Otherwise, people can very easily take that as an insult, which they did.
As a follow-up to the contract termination, they also cancelled their contract with the Call of Duty team manager Kabaton for similar reasons, especially various homophobic and albeit slurs he frequently tweeted out. Ableist. Ableist. Oh, I see. My apologies.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a bit shitty, given especially what the month is.
Yeah,
that is shitty. Right. Bud, do you want to take this next news regarding Fuzz? As a bearded man, with a magnificent beard.
Yes, of
We've
course.
got we've
So
got two we've got two gentlemen with magnificent beards here, actually.
I'm trying. I'm trying. It's just.
All right, 3 of them.
Well, we are all 4 of us magnificent, but the
Touche.
Horizon Forbidden West has been released recently,
Mhm.
which is a really good-looking game, and it shows the
Amazing.
potential of PS5. And one of the things
I've been playing it.
is,
Been
yes,
playing it.
we've seen our esteemed colleague Ebek play it, and he was amazed, and we were amazed at this game. And the graphical fidelity is so good that on the close-ups of the main character Aloy, you can see peach fuzz on her cheeks, which most people or all people, definitely people who haven't been doing laser surgery to their faces have. And some gamers, probably young or probably like very disconnected from society, they've never seen them, and
You
we're
can say you can say the word immature, Burr. It's okay.
Well, I mean, yeah, in more ways than one, it is possible. They were causing stirs with all kinds of questions like why the hell Aloy has a beard, because that was the first time they've seen. That was the most frequent reply to that. Tell me you've never seen a woman up close without telling me you have never seen a woman up close.
Pretty much.
Jesse
And
Cox can be thanked for that quotation.
yeah,
I'm
exactly.
just,
And sorry, go on, Lemming.
I'm just like, surely some of the people who were making these comments have a mother
You would hope.
who they lived in close proximity to for at least some of their lives.
I think biologically speaking, they would have to have had a mother in some degree. But yeah, whether they actually interacted with their mothers is another question.
Exactly. That's the thing I was getting at. If they didn't, I apologize. But some of them must have, and surely they must have looked their mother in the face at some point and seen something.
Well, it appears not to.
Yeah, they've also probably not been looking their girlfriend in the face. Ooh, wait.
They've not been close to another woman at all. As one of the representatives of that sex, here's a pro tip, guy. Here's something. I'm gonna just break the illusion for everybody right now. I am not wearing makeup, and as you can see, there are lots of different freckles all over my face, and also women have moustaches. I have a very pale dark moustache growing across my upper chin. I also have to pull dark hairs out of my chin because this is a natural thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes women will grow like faint moustaches and stuff like that. And this isn't just that. That's peach fuzz. It's natural. It's natural hair that everybody has on their body.
Yeah, it's hormone based.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like everybody is hairy. I hate to break it to you, but everybody is hairy. Like
doesn't look like it, but there's a mountain of hair on those arms, like a lot.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and the thing is, like, people are gonna be like, oh, but women aren't supposed to be hairy. It's just like,
no,
well, that's what society's trained you to think.
Exactly.
It's what is society's trained you to think that it's completely natural for a woman to not have hair. No, it's not. They meticulously take care of their image to do that, which is up to their decision to do that.
Yeah, and I only do it on my face. Like I cannot be asked to shave my armpits or shave my legs. So, and the thing is, like, the amount of hair I have there is probably the same as these gentlemen, and that's probably going to shock a lot of people. But it's like, no, that's just completely natural, and you're just going to have to deal with it. Like at some point in your life, you're going to have to accept that like women shit and fart and poop like everybody else, kind of thing. And they are as hairy as everybody else. You just
as
have
much
to
as society likes to try and pretend it's not the case, it happens.
Yeah, exactly.
Even the queen must let loose gas.
And it's not really rainbows. It's just fecal matter like everyone else.
Rainbow.
Yeah, but the thing about Aloy is people were getting upset even before. People were getting upset even after Horizon Zero Dawn was
I
released.
remember the controversy that people commented that she looks like a man.
Yeah. She was like, yeah, everybody was like, well, Aloy looks like such a man. I'm just like, you have never seen a woman outside of a fucking JPEG in your entire life, have you?
Now, I have to admit, I can understand what they're saying, because I look at that and I'm like, well, she's definitely not the conventional what you'd expect. But that's the point. That's the point.
That's the whole point.
Although the thing is that we've been a bit conditioned about conventional. 'Cause conventional is supposed to be one that spends 2 hours a day at the hairdresser, manicure, makeup, etc. That's not conventional. It's not natural, and that definitely doesn't fit the post-apo where everyone is like fighting for survival. You
Exactly.
you don't have time for makeup because metal dinosaurs will eat you in the meantime.
Yeah, I mean, of course, some women might have the time to look fancy, but do you really think Aloy is shaving her legs all the fucking time? I don't think so.
I mean,
Besides, hairy legs are nice and warm as well.
This is something we could like cover as a topic at some point, like in terms of like, does it matter if the design is realistic if it's pleasing? Which I think a lot of people will say, I just want it to be pleasing, which to me is like, well, that's you. I can't.
I think there's force and against both of them. I think it's understandable that people like some people will say like I made this character like this because I like pretty women. I think the guy of the developer of Near Automata said that. It's like I will make these women sexualized because I want to do pretty women. Okay, that's fair enough. So long as you're upfront about it. Don't
pull a Hideo Kojima and say, you'll all be sorry when you realize why I've put this lady in a bikini.
Yeah, it's just like, because she breathes through her skin, like...
Okay, Kojima. Okay, Kojima.
Yeah, just admit that you want the woman with her tits out. Come on. Yeah,
That's why we all run around with that character.
Yeah.
Deal with it.
Yeah, exactly. But I also think you're right in that there should be more realistic depictions of all people, kind of thing, especially of women. But
it's amazing how people tend to think the world is the sky's falling, whatever. It's like, oh, so you want all heroes to be fat? It's like, no. Just like every now and then, it's nice just to have an idea of like this is what someone is representative of, effectively.
Yes.
I mean, there was the whole controversy when Thor has been revealed for God of War, Ragnarok. And everyone's saying, he's fat. I was like, well, yeah, that is actually very authentic to the source material of the actual Norse mythology.
That's one. Two, I've been recently playing God of War because it's been released on PC, so I decided to replay the game. And a certain character that I don't want to spoil, but he's sharing a lot of lore. He constantly refers to Thor as a fat bastard, so he must be fat.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly. We're talking about Thor context.
It's Thor. It's
what, is it a 4 point for some point? Hey. But yeah,
in other words, in other news, yes, it is a sore point for some people.
Yeah.
Very Thor, in fact.
Oh no! A Norse god is depicted as appropriate with a pot belly.
He's like, oh no, the Norse god that was known for like eating for days and smashing things with a big hammer.
Now, that being said,
turns out to be large.
You can dislike it. It's just that you have no right to say, well, they should have done it like this, because that is that's entirely your opinion.
Yeah, it's their project.
It's a bit like how I don't care how Thor in the MCU is a scrumptious looking individual. It's because, you know, I mean, I wouldn't. I would. But yeah, Chris Hemsworth.
Who wouldn't?
Yeah, who wouldn't?
But you know, I think that's the thing is people look at extremes and feel like, oh, so everyone needs to be realistic. No. Just every now and then, just it's okay to have a character who is realistically depicted. And I mean that realistically depicted, not going the other extreme. You know.
Yeah, you don't need. I mean, some stylization is okay. I mean, you don't need like all of your women to be hourglass figures, kind of thing.
Yeah.
No, it's very simple. fiction, as we know it, requires a baseline.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true.
We need to know what the average person is like in whatever fictional universe you are creating. So having people who look realistic allows you to set from there.
Keeping on the topic of Horizon Forbidden West, Guerrilla Games, the developer, should be praised as well for not only making an interesting game with reliable characters, compelling story, and an amazing world, but also for avoiding crunch. The delay in the game's release was revealed to be decided upon to avoid working extra hours and to push the game out.
Excellent.
And sure,
Top job.
And sure, they may have missed the winter, the holiday deadline. I still don't think it's going to impact sales. I think they're going to make megabucks.
Yeah,
it's the first big game of the year, effectively.
Yeah, and Horizon. Oh, sorry, Burr. Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to say that all the employees had a time off for Christmas holiday to rest and to prepare for the last big push, and that is something that companies just should take a closer look at.
Yeah, exactly.
Shadow, you were going to say?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think Horizon Zero Dawn would have sold on its name alone, to be honest. So, not that it didn't require that extra effort as well, but it's already a AAA game. It was already going to sell. Like, there was already a baseline of sales. But allowing your workers to just rest, relax, and then go for it, kind of thing. I mean, you've got the chance to sit and wait. Come on, why not use it, kind of thing.
The next news article I think is something very interesting because Bud, you were discussing like lead times in acquisitions in companies the other day, and you I think at some point to me said you thought that the whole Microsoft acquisition was sorted out like a long time ago. Turns out you were not as accurate as you thought.
Yeah.
According to the news article from The Verge, there was an article released about the actual acquisition. Apparently, there were 3 more companies and 1 individual who wanted to buy Activision Blizzard King. Microsoft had the best offer, and so that's who they ended up going with. But the talks began on November 19th, 2021, 3 days after that accusation.
Bloody hell.
Yeah, it's just...
That's pretty much when Phil Spencer was sending his information that we'll have to re-evaluate our approach to Activision Blizzard. When we were saying that Sony and Microsoft are taking their stance with the company, it turns out Phil Spencer had something very different in mind.
Yeah, I wonder now if his hands were tied at that point because he'd already started talking to them, and he already knew there were 3 companies and somebody else like looking into it, and he's going, "Oh shit, now what?" kind of thing.
Do you think they might have used it as an opportunistic moment as well?
Possibly, but I don't know. Did anyone expect that it would soon this far? I don't know. I don't know if they could have predicted that it would cause the storm that it did. I don't know. I genuinely don't know, but it is a bit scummy on... I will just say it is a bit scummy on Microsoft's part, kind of thing.
Oh, most definitely. Nothing can be questioned there. I do think Microsoft might have... I mean, I have no evidence, but if I was them and I was thinking about buying them and accusations came out 3 days, I'm like, well, that's not a good look for you. Maybe we could help make that all be better for you,
Yeah, that's the thing. That's what worries me.
The shittiest part of this, which still comes out of this, is Bobby Kotick still gets his fucking golden parachute.
No, and it also came out that...
And a huge one.
Yeah, and it also came out that Bobby Kotick has a secret company that has been donating to the Republican Party all the fucking time. It's just like,
who the fuck saw that coming?
Yeah,
I am shocked, I tell you.
The more I hear of it, the less I like.
I didn't like the guy to begin with.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, it seems like every time I get more news about Bobby Kotick, it's just like, why are you making it worse? I already hate you. Stop me.
Yeah, stop making, like, you have your golden parachute.
Yeah.
Take it and vanish from life.
It's
Yeah,
just like
whenever you say you can't be worse, Bobby Cutting's like, hold my beer.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah,
he's
exactly.
almost cartoonish in his fucking villainry at the moment. It's
Yeah.
just like, for God's sake.
Yeah, it's getting to the point where, despite the fact that he's got a golden parachute, when he does get booted off, he'll use it and then realize that below him is just lava.
God, I hope so.
I'm hoping.
And that lava is going to be all the people you fucked over. Waiting.
All I can say is it's going to make whoever hires him next very trepidatious about hiring him.
Yeah.
Not that he'll ever need to be hired by anybody.
I don't think he would want to be hired because with all the stock that he has, if he decides to sell it, it's for.
I mean, the dude's already set for life.
$1 million. He doesn't have to do anything for 1,000 years.
Well, let's move on to and some more shit news. This time from I think Shadow can lead this one.
Oh yes. I think it was like a couple of months ago. Allegations came out that Paradox Interactive had some harassment going on within it, and the company went, "Ah, shit, we should probably do some." Went, "Oh yeah, we're going to get an outside firm called Gender Balance to go and have a look through." And they published their report a couple of days ago. Was it on Sunday? I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. They published their report on Sunday and basically said, yeah, there's some shit going on in here. It's not great. They basically boiled it down to we don't like it's not awful, but there's still harassment going on in the company. It's not like on the level of ABK.
Yeah.
Like but it's less overt and more kind of a feeling inside the company that you have to tread, that HR might not actually help you out if you make a complaint and stuff like that, and the company doesn't have the procedures put down to help its employees when things are going wrong. Managers are not properly trained and stuff like that. And Paradox to Paradox's credit, they took the report and they were like, "Okay, fair enough. We fully accept what the findings are. We're gonna solve this. We're gonna keep this company on the side so they can watch us and do another survey another year next year to see if we've improved," kind of thing.
Yeah, which is very important to do, I think.
Yeah, I mean they're making all the right noises, kind of thing, and the fact that like in comparison to ABK and Ubisoft, it's barely anything. It's still like, don't get me wrong, it's still concerning. Shouldn't be any well, as they said in the report, there should be as less harassment and discrimination occurring in this company as possible, as like foreseeably possible. But in fairness, Paradox they are making the right noises. They seem to have procedures in place. They just don't seem to be resolute procedures. Now, I'm hoping that Paradox will keep to their word and actually do something about this, because Paradox publishes a lot of games I like and also play, but it seems pretty good. I mean, it's not good, but it's also good in that it's not horrendous, kind of thing. It's bad, but not horrendous, and it seems like the company wants to actually do something about it, kind of thing. And there was something else I was going to say, and it's completely slipped my mind. Yeah, it's gone. It's completely gone. Sorry.
Fair enough. Then we'll move on to the final news topic in a bit, but it is tied into the overall topic of tonight, which we've got a couple to deal with. We're actually going to deal with multiple topics tonight because I think one of them is small enough that I think we can deal with quite quickly. Plus, also I think that a lot of it kind of combines with this last news article. Let's do some positive stuff. It's Game Blast this week.
Woo!
That's right. Game Blast is happening. Game Blast is a charity that happens in the UK and across the world every February, the last few weeks, or the last weekend, I should say, where gamers around the world stream in order to promote and raise money for charity Special Effect, which is designed to create unique controllers for people who are afflicted and who are unable to play. For example, people who have lost limbs, people who can't even move with eye tracking software, people even need to control games with their chin, things like that. Crazy shit. I'm taking part in Game Blast this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. In fact, I'll be streaming each evening at 9:30, which I'll be doing Sly Cooper 2, Ratchet and Clank Crack in Time, and Jack and Daxter, respectively, on those days. But so are my friends, Scarfulu, Weird, Buddy Games, and Laura Petal. And throughout the entire day, we'll have someone streaming at some point. 60 hours worth of content, according to our calculations.
No.
And you can help promote the cause. I'm going to shove the Game Blast link into the chat there. You can go on a Game Blast, donate. Our goal is 5,000, and we've reached 3,230. And I can't thank anyone and everyone who's donated so far enough for that.
It's still 5 days.
It's still 5 days.
3 days.
It's well, maybe that. Yeah, that's the thing is, there's rewards every £100. Once we get to 4,000, it then accelerates it so that we basically have a reward every £50. Those rewards are effectively streams from the respective individuals involved, and 5,000 gets you the lot. It gets you the big finale bonus from all 5 channels, and every tombola spin reward. If we crack 5,000, you get everything basically.
Yo, and it's worth it. Every penny goes to special effect, and if you can't donate, don't worry, just share it because there's going to be somebody out there who can.
Indeed, I was very fortunate that very thankful that my company actually put in £500. Very surprised and thankful for them for doing that. Very very generous of them to do that.
Surprised to be sure.
Yeah, but a welcome one.
Thank you too.
Right, so
also, what's going on this week is the Steam Next Fest from the 21st of February all the way to the 28th. On Steam there are a shit ton of demos and new indie games, upcoming indie games. Some of them are AAAs. Well, only one AAA of what I've seen, but and it is the best time to download some demos and find out some new and upcoming games, and even just see rare games you wouldn't have considered until now. Like I fucking love demos. I really wish AAA companies would do more demos. So if I can use if I could support demos from like little indie companies, hopefully way up. But we'll see.
Because if the indie game have shown us is that the demos, the shareware, the playable trial versions, they are a really great way to promote their games. Because watching someone play it on Twitch or on YouTube is nice, but the hands-on experience always will trump it. And
definitely.
Those ways of experiencing the game are always much better. You might, by looking at the game, might think this is not for me, but then suddenly you start playing it, you start playing the demo, and it sparks joy, and you're wishlisting it, and you're buying it, and you're invested in the idea because you've liked how it plays.
Oh, sorry, Lemming.
No, I was agreeing. Please.
Yeah, if you don't mind, Ebat, can
please
go through the demos that we've been playing.
No, please go for it.
I have a whole list. So if Bert wants to start, or
well, I'll tell you what, because the Next Fest is carrying on. What is there a way that we could perhaps do that in the next podcast where we just have we have an episode about demos?
I'm not sure. I would like to talk about it now.
No, it's fine. Yeah, you go ahead.
Yeah. Well, it's hot.
Yeah, well, it's hot. I've played about 11 demos today, and I still have 2 sitting ready on my hard drive. So I'll just go through them rapid fire and recommend the ones I liked and the ones that I haven't. The first one, the Planet Crafter. I didn't actually have this on. This wasn't on my radar, but I was reading a recent issue of PC Gamer magazine, and the writer actually quite liked it. So I thought, all right, I'll check it out, kind of thing. Basically, it's very bare bones, very early access at the moment. It's an open world. It's an open world-ish survival crafting game, but you are on Mars and you have to terraform the place. There are no enemies or anything.
Ooh.
There's no enemies. Like the only thing you are butting up against is your health, your basically your hunger, your thirst, and your oxygen. But it's completely fine because if you run out of those things, you just faint and you get ported back to the start, and you still have everything on your person. So it's a lot more casual than other survival games, and that might not appeal to some people, but it appeals to me because it's a more chill experience. Very bare bones, but I would recommend at least having a look and see if you're into it. It seems like a very forgiving game, and
Hmm.
some of us could do with that. Second one, The Wandering Village, that Burr has also played. It's basically a management building simulator slash strategy where you are a group of people living on the back of a giant lizard, and it's this
Not
huge
what I
lizard.
was expecting.
Yeah.
You are on the back of this giant lizard which has this huge landmass on it, and basically you are trying to keep people safe, keep the lizard that you are living on the back of safe and healthy and well fed and everything. But you need to be careful because you can give commands to the lizard at some point, but the lizard will do whatever it fucking wants most of the time. And you have to protect yourself from, because there's for some reason there's a massive spore pandemic, and the fungi are trying to eat everything. So
Yeah.
it's really cute, really sweet. Some problems with it being a bit slow, in my opinion, but I
Yeah.
suppose once it gets to
Yeah.
certain later parts in the game, I think it gets a little bit hectic. Would
Yeah,
recommend.
it's still work in progress. The AI of the people you command could be improved upon definitely, but it's a work in progress, and it looks really nice.
Lovely. It's got a lovely aesthetic. Second one, I don't like to mention it because it's a family dev, but I I did play it and I didn't really like it. Harvest Days. I went into it expecting another farming thing. Just didn't really hit it with me. The animations take too long when you're like raking a field or hoeing a thing, and and also you control like a you you control like you are drunk steering a coal barge, and that's not that's not a good thing. And
No, you want controls to be decent, and that doesn't sound fun.
yeah, and it's a shame because it's a they're a family group of devs, and I hate to shit on them, but it just wasn't for me.
Well, it just means that it's not for you, and it doesn't mean it's necessarily bad. It just means it wasn't for you, and if it was bad, then they can improve for next time. It's just simple as that.
Yeah, true. One that I was looking forward to, I was looking at was Pharaoh: A New Era. This is a remaster of the original Pharaoh game, which is part of the City Builder game from Impressions. Um, it looks lovely. It's got a absolutely mwah aesthetic, like more cartoony, more cartoony than the original. Looks really, really good, like really, really pretty. Problem is, it plays like the original. That's okay if you're okay with how the original
Yeah,
played, but it was
for
dependent
fans
on.
of Pharaoh, yeah.
Yes, it's okay if you like how it played, but I didn't because I don't like my city to be balanced entirely on the whim of an AI choosing of an AI going, well, I'm going to walk down this street this time, and because I didn't walk down the other street for like 3 times, all of your dwellings downgrade because they haven't had like beer in like 3 days, so they all downgrade. So all of my fucking like workers disappear, which cause more things to fail later, just because some pissing AI just decided I'm going to walk this way for 3 turns, kind of things. Fuck's sake. So yeah, I don't care what anybody says. Like I think that that way of playing is very old school. It doesn't belong in like modern day. That's my opinion. So not a recommendation for me, but if you like the original, it's more of the same and it looks pretty. So Builders of Egypt though, trying to get in on that turf, I quite liked it. It was more. It's it's basically the Pharaoh I wish how it worked, like how I wish it worked, basically, because it doesn't depend on the workers, like it doesn't depend on walkers, and it's more dependent on building radius, which makes more sense, kind of thing.
Mm.
But the problem is, its aesthetic is really boring, and it's realistic, but it feels like it's got no soul, if you know what I mean. And that's the problem. I wish that this Pharaoh remaster and Builders of the Egypt had a baby. I wish Pharaoh worked like how Builders of Egypt does, but looked like, it's just so a tepid recommend for Builders of Egypt, but I mean, I'm gonna keep following it and see how it does. But at the moment, for me, it's just like, you just you just not got it for me. Talking of a soulless, talking of feeling soulless, High Rise City. This was the game that I played for about 4 minutes and hated immediately. Like, I hate to say this because I don't think it's any fault of the game, but something about it, something about the vibe felt so soulless and kind of like it was trying to copy City Skylines, but there was no soul there. And it felt so weird and peculiar, and also didn't help that there was a lot of typos in the tutorials. It's just like, ugh, ugh. So yeah, that I threw that one out. Sorry, sorry, it's not great. One that I can recommend though is Ixion. Do you remember Ebac back yonder last year when we were watching Square Enix? I think it was Square Enix or something. There was that weird trailer about some people watching a live stream of a rocket launch.
Something like yeah.
This is what Inixion is. Now, that was a shitty trailer to show because that's not what an Ixion is at all. An Ixion is basically you are an administrator of a space station, and it's up to you to balance the needs of your people with the needs of the company that run the thing, and also your power supply and lots of other things. If you've played Startopia, it's a little like that minus the aliens. But where it gets good, right? Where it gets good is spoilers for the prologue in the demo, right? So you have this big engine called the Vol engine, and what it allows you to do is it allows you to move the space station around the solar system, but it also lets you system jump. Now what you have to well in order to charge this huge engine, this light speed engine, you have to divert all of your power into it to charge it up. But whilst all the power is running into your Vol engine, it's not supplying the rest of the station. So everything goes into blackout. Like, you can't feed your people, you're not running any research, and you have to balance the happiness or the trust of your people with the needs of everything else, because if the people don't trust you, they will mutiny and throw you out. And the thing is, what happens at the end of the demo is the Vol engine fires for the first time and blows up part of the moon. And it's so cool because that's when the prologue ends and you're like, holy shit, what?
Now I'm invested.
Yeah, and it's only like a really sort of bare bones start to the demo, but it's already got me hooked, kind of thing. The mechanics are there, and you could see where the challenge is going to creep in, kind of thing. And I would totally recommend it. Like, the trailer for it isn't very good. Would totally recommend going into the demo, picking it up, having a look. I'm nearly at the end. I promise you, Eva. Celestial Empire, pretty similar to Builders of Egypt, except for China. Not as good as Builders of Egypt. It's lacking some tutorials. It feels really bare bones at the moment. I would follow it. Maybe play the demo. Maybe it's more up your alley. Wasn't for me. And then the last one here is Tinykin, which is a little tiny It's a Pikmin inspired game for the PC, and I would heartily recommend it. Like, really, really recommend it. It's the only demo so far that I've played, stopped midway through and gone, I'm going to play this when people are watching me because it's so cute and I want people to see it. So yeah, that's just a quick overview of the demos I've played for the Steam Next Fest. There's even more out there. Go check them out, kind of thing. But
there's
after the
hundreds of
podcast,
demos.
yeah. But after the podcast, thank you for letting me go on that tangent, Evac. Sorry, that took longer than I thought.
It's that's fine. So yeah, check out the Next Fest. We'll probably talk about that more next time when the podcast comes next month in March. As for the actual news topic today, we're going to talk about the news article that I want, which I'm saving, is something about Nintendo, which we're going to get into a bit later. First, I want to tackle the one that Lemming wanted to bring to the table. Lemming, you wanted to bring to the table a discussion. What was that discussion?
Yearly releases in video games. We all know it happens. Call of Duty, Battlefield, Assassin's Creed. That's the one I was looking for. Pokemon, technically. All these big gaming companies have at least one game that they throw out every year because it makes loads of money. And the question here is that actually a good or a bad thing?
In what go on, Shadow.
No, go ahead. No. I've been talking a long time. You go.
In what context, good or bad?
Well, for us, the people who would be buying said games. For example, Battlefield releases every year. And because it's been releasing every year, they have to live up to a certain standard. And just a few days ago, Battlefield 2042 had less than 2,000 players on Steam.
Ooh, ouch.
Yow.
Yeah, for a AAA game, that's a plummet.
Yeah, that is a dying cry. So the question is it actually worth buying these games every year?
Oh, I see.
Is it worth making them every year? And could they be doing something better with their time?
I think the answer... Sorry, go on, Burr.
No, okay, I just wanted to say, I am now curious if we checked in Steam how many concurrent players are there in Battlefield 3. I'm pretty sure it'll be more.
Lots.
Because that game is still popular.
Yeah.
Let's check.
Yeah. To be honest, I think the answer is already kind of obvious to us, and I think that's a no. I genuinely don't think so, because a year's not long enough, especially if it's a AAA game like Battlefield. Like, I don't think a year is long enough to get to the quality that you really need. And I mean, maybe you could sustain it for maybe 1 year, maybe 2, but then your staff's gonna burn out very quickly.
Yeah.
And for multiplayer games especially, like, you lose your previous player base and you have to start all over again. Like,
I was gonna get it on my shelf, but I don't have it physically. I've got a digital copy of it. I buy the WWE games every single release they come out. Now, there's actually a morality tale you could take away from their game, which imagine the year, it's 2019, WWE 2K 2020 is announced and released. It comes out. It is a pile of shit. And I don't just mean that it's bad in terms of what it offers. It offered the exact same thing the previous game did, but it was glitchy. You had problems with hair physics going on. It was generally thought to be unplayable, especially for the core community who created wrestlers, because it would cause all kinds of glitches with their characters, which part of the creation suite is a big sale of that game.
Did they have a Y2K bug as well?
I don't know what they had in there, but they had some serious problems with WWE 2K20, to the point where, to this day, they were gonna shut off the 2K19 servers, but they did not, because the community outcried that there were still so many people playing WWE 2K19 that the shut of the servers would be absolutely disastrous. So even to this day, the 2K19 servers are still running alongside the 2020 servers. Very, very telling. The result...
There's not been a 2K21.
No, there wasn't. There was not a 2K21. They actually took the decision for the first time in, I think, 10 years to say, we're not going to have a game in 2021. We're not going to have a game. We're going to come back in 2022 and come out swinging.
Respect.
So they did not have a game released for 2020, because don't forget, it's released the year before, effectively. The game 2K 2020 is actually a delayed game. It delayed into this year, so ironically, but that's coming out next month. And I think it's a very good tell, because everything I'm saying about 2K 2022 looks really good. It's really polished, because you are completely right, Shadow. A year is not a long time to develop a game. And people will say, yeah, but usually there's alternative studios going on. Yes, for things like Call of Duty, but when you're dealing with like smaller games, like sports games, like Pokemon games, and so on and so forth, there's less companies dealing with that. And at the end of the day, all you'd get every single year in these WWE games is a small increase in their fidelity, a couple of new features, nothing really too groundbreaking. Whereas this year, we're getting a whole brand new game rebuilt from the ground up, entirely for the new gen systems, plus also with new modes and new physics engines and such. So rather than having to patchwork a game repeatedly, they're like, okay, we can take a step back, redesign the entire thing, build it up, and it's a good product. And and I've always said this is a problem with a year game design.
Yeah, and I think we only need to look at like the sports games that EA pumps out every single year, and it's like, what changes are coming? What changes are you pushing through here?
Not a lot.
I've been watching the FIFA games come out since I had a Mega Drive. I've been watching them come out year after year, and I've watched them like, yeah, great. They've upgraded the graphics for the console they're on, but all they've done is update the roster.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the biggest change in those games usually, just the update of the roster, which
Yeah, I think I'm going to say what you were going to say, but it's just like, you could do that with DLC. Or an update, or just an update.
Yeah, you could do that if you treated those games as a service. You just get the game once, you get the season pass.
If there's ever a game series that could benefit from being a games as a service, it's sports games.
Exactly.
One time you could kind of understand it.
Indeed.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But I wanted also to comment about the idea of switching studios. That will end up with having very mixed versions of games, one after the other. Because one studio would be better at doing this kind of games. The other studio will be better at doing this kind of games. It's start switching that in one year, Studio A does Battlefield, Studio B does FIFA. In the other year, they shift. It won't work at all.
Yeah, I mean, and even when it does work, look at the Call of Duty games. Activision has 3 studios. 3 massive studios working on Call of Duty games. That gives them a 3-year cycle for each release.
And also, isn't it
Sorry, go on.
Finish your point, Lemming.
Yeah. The thing is, each of these studios has different things that they put into each of their Call of Duty games. For example, all the Call of Duty games released by Treyarch, such as World at War, Black Ops, that series of Call of Duty games, always have a zombies mode. So the next year, when another Call of Duty game comes out that doesn't have the zombies mode in, you have people who are like, well, it's missing a mode, I'm not going to buy it. And so on.
I also want to speak that that's not a good thing, logistically speaking, because while that is good forethinking by Activision to have, like, okay, you got a 3-year lead time. So although they're yearly releases, they got a full 3-year development cycle. You're tying up 3 game companies on effectively 1 franchise.
And and if you think about it, it's really fucking depressing as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's the magic money machine of keep cranking that Call of Duty handle, and a Call of Duty game will come out and money will be made. Whereas
it feels so soulless.
It does feel soulless. Those game companies could be working on, like, the other 2 companies could be working on an entirely different project, but Activision just wants them to make Call of Duty.
Yeah. And I'm sitting here like I used to back when I actively played console games. I played Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 on my Xbox 360, and I absolutely adored it. And I loved the game. I loved the multiplayer. It was one of the last multiplayers I actually actively played and enjoyed. And then Call of Duty, I think it was World at War, came out after that. And I was like, oh, no, not bothered with that. Still had an active player base for the multiplayer. And then Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 came out. And then I was just watching as the player base from the game that I was still enjoying just vanished over there.
It's very weird how these games, who also, they actually do promote like games as a service thing, have yearly releases. Surely they shouldn't be having that. Surely the whole point of games as a service is that you have longevity with that game.
It's greed.
Exactly.
It is greed. It comes down to it.
It's literally just greed.
They're trying to grasp as much of the market as possible, including the stuff that directly contradicts itself.
Yeah.
Games as a service and year releases are complete opposites, but they're trying to mash them together.
Exclusive almost.
Yeah, they should be, logically, they should be mutually exclusive.
Yeah, and also, I'm going to have to say, for the people out there who do like the yearly releases and are constantly clamoring for them, because I've seen people do this, it's like, you are part of the problem, please stop.
You're part of the problem, please stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, like, you can handle but back in, I hate to do the back in the olden days, but back in the olden days, you had one game for like months and months at a time, and it's like you played that thing for like a shit ton. Like, you don't get to like I don't I mean, I get it. I like, if you really love a franchise, you want more of it, but at the same time,
I get that, yeah.
bored of it.
You're gonna get bored of it.
You're gonna get bored of it.
And other franchises suffer for that greed as well. For example, and I'm gonna directly call out a company at this point, Toys for Bob. Great company. Made the Spyro Reignited trilogy. What do they make these days? They're relegated to Call of Duty Warzone duty.
I know.
But they could be making a fourth Spyro game or a new Crash game.
God, I'd love a fourth Spyro game.
Exactly. I'd love a new one. And yes, it's not like by separating this, the game's Call of Duty is going to go away. It just means the game Call of Duty is going to have less releases in a certain period of time. And that's the problem, because all Activision sees is the money. The money.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah, but it's a mentality that an aspect of modern gamers have of, I'm done with this content, give me the next content. And this is prevalent in the Call of Duty, where 6 months after release, they're banging at the tables going, where's the next bit?
Yeah,
where's the next bit?
I've actually seen this start to happen in the Pokemon community now as well. It's just like, when do I get DLC for Arceus? So when do I get DLC for Sword and Shield? It's like,
DLC's understandable because it's part of the hype of that game. It's if they were clamoring for the next Legends game, I'd be like, how old are your horses?
But even then, this game just came out. What are you doing?
The game came out 3 weeks ago, and people are already like tired and bored because
where's the next bit?
And they need more content.
Well, the thing is, when I saw that the Diamond and Pearl remakes have been released, immediately I saw people going, "Oh, does this mean they're going to do Black and White next?" Like, almost in the same day, and I'm like, "Hold on."
I will kind of pause you there. Like, actually speculating is not a bad idea. Actually saying, I want Black and White next is a bad thing. I think they're two different things. But no,
I have seen people say do Black and White next. It's just like, whoa, hang on.
Yeah, it's like a game that I have talked about extensively, Escape from Tarkov, is still in active development. Every 6 months to a year, they wipe everyone's progress and everyone starts from scratch. You have this group of people who are very good at the game, but do nothing but play the game, who then 3 weeks, 2 months into a wipe, are going, when's the next wipe? I've done everything! Give me the... You're the one who rushed it!
Yeah, it's just
You're the one who played 24/7 for the first month and got to the end point.
Yeah,
That's on you.
Yeah, I think the hardcore players need to understand that you are the 1% here. Like, not everybody is speeding along to the end.
Yeah, and then you've got the content creators such as Pestily and Deadly Slob. Shout out to those guys. Really cool guys. I've talked to them both. They finished the game. Pestily is an absolute demon when it comes to getting, doing the early game blitz. Gets his way through, finishes it, and then goes, okay, I've done that. I'm going to be creative. So he restarts his profile or starts a new profile and thinks of a new interesting way to play the game.
I just thought of an interesting idea, and I can't believe I'm suggesting this. One of the most recent examples of how to do this kind of progression system, and I looked to Burr as someone who might have played the series before. Street Fighter 5. Because everyone knows how Capcom back in the day used to be like, okay, you got Street Fighter, now there's Super Street Fighter, now there's Super Street Fighter Champion Edition.
Yeah, and all that within like 2 years.
Within 2 years, yeah. They still do that. Now they still release those kind of editions, as it were, in like new CDs, but you can upgrade your current game to the next edition with DLC, effectively. And I've got a copy of Street Fighter 4 that I purchased on PS4 back on pretty much when I first got a PS4. I have all the content up until now on it because I just constantly supported that game and upgraded it. And that's the thing, I didn't need to buy a yearly release for that game. I have all the content. That game's been here for the last 8 years, and only now we're starting to get inklings of Street Fighter 6 coming out. So it goes to show that games as a live service can work when there is a progression in terms of content. You're going to pay for it. I'm not going to hide that fact, but yes.
Well, yeah, you got to pay for everything.
Shadow.
But of course, this is based on the predication that the game has a lot of content to begin with. And I think what's probably going on with Call of Duty and these yearly releases is that they are coming out essentially half-baked. And slowly we're adding ingredients as time goes on. And like, I think a lot of games, like for example, Horizon basically just like can be just put like dropped in, just like there we go, it's released, go nuts, and then people could be playing that for fucking ages,
Dense
months,
game, yeah,
a whole year. Yeah, it's like it's making a good enough game, and which has the content within it to keep you going for a long period of time. Like, in fairness to the Pokemon company, so the Pokemon games, like the main series, tends to have a good amount of stuff to do for a long period of time. Maybe for a whole year, pushing it maybe a little bit, but certainly for several months, it'll keep you quiet for ages and ages, especially if you want to do the game. But at the same time, it's still suffering. I was starting to think from this yearly release. There's always a main series Pokemon release every year, and I don't think the team has time to cool.
The problem with I think your thinking there, Shadow, is that you're assuming that that's all the person plays, because I think a year. I mean, it's not a year's worth of content in Pokemon. Definitely, like several, a long time. I've been playing them enough.
Yeah,
I should know.
A year is pushing it, but several months at least.
Yeah. I mean, I think I checked my Alolan Pocket save. It's like 146 hours or something on there. And they're dense games, but they're not also all I play. I think some people kind of get that. There are people who just play Call of Duty. I was like, okay, you just play Call of Duty. That's good. That's great. But there are things called other games out there that people like to kind of enjoy and play.
I think the problem is, Ebag, that the Call of Duty games have such a large footprint in the file. They're like hundreds of gigs big. It's just like that's all they can play because there's no space for anything else.
I mean, what was the last size of, like, if you actually had all of the latest Call of Duty game installed?
Oh, it was bigger than WoW, I think it was, or it was on the par with WoW with all of its expansions together. And it's like that's an MMO that's been going for like how many years now? 10?
It's madness that they're getting so bloated and they keep thinking, well, we need to do something new, but with the same formula. How are we going to do this? So then you get, as previously said in the podcast, then you get Battlefield 2042, which was released completely half-baked. You had hovercraft flying up walls. It's like managed to actually make the hovercraft glitch so that it gets to the side of the building, and it's stuck there.
And that kind of surprises me as well, because
I was 18 years old, guys.
if the game, if they didn't have year releases, they wouldn't have to keep pressing the envelope so much. Because it's like it's been four years since the last Call of Duty game. Well, here we go. It's Call of Duty. We've put something new in there for you guys, but it's it's Call of Duty.
Yeah, and also if you just like leave it for like a year or so, just let the franchise cool a little bit.
Yeah, let it drip a bit, and then go, oh, cool, Call of Duty's back.
Yeah, exactly. And
we
then people
saw
are
that.
like, yo.
We saw that with Assassin's Creed, and the fact that they didn't have a release between, I think, Syndicate and Origins. And Syndicate and Origins came back, and it was a darling. Everyone loved it. I didn't, because I don't like the changes to it, but that's more of a taste thing and less about the game being bad or good. And yeah, it worked.
Yeah. I liked Syndicate, but I loved Origins. I really loved it.
I've got some numbers for you all.
Go on.
Battlefield players. You heard me say that the latest Battlefield 2042, as of 40 minutes ago, there was 2,278 players for a brand new. Is it a month old at this point?
Something like that.
2 months old, something like that. Just over 2,000 players. Battlefield 3 has 100 players as of 25 minutes ago, so that's gone at this point. Battlefield 4, the average players for the last 30 days has been 1,500. That's quite old at this point.
Good. That's damn good.
Battlefield 1, the World War I one, 5,500 players in the last 30 days.
Yeah, so basically the previous game.
Yeah, and then Battlefield 5 is still going strong with 13,500 players. You're killing your own player base by releasing half-baked games.
Yeah, they're just getting split and split and split and split.
Yeah.
And then you release a shit game and they go, well, I'm done.
Yeah.
Off to Vanguard.
Yeah. And also there would be people who can either afford time or afford money only for one game. So if they can play Battlefield 5 or Battlefield 1 that they've already had friends to play with and they've already had for a while, they would play that. They wouldn't be buying yearly releases.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that
also
go on?
Oh, sorry, go on.
No, please go on. I want to wrap it up. So you.
I was just gonna say. Also, if you keep winding your plane base up, eventually they'll reach a point where I go, fuck it, I've got other things to do. See, also, World of Warcraft, which kept winding me up, and then.
Can anyone think of any situation where it is good for the consumer that there's a yearly release? It clearly is good for the companies, and which is why they do it. But anything that's good for the consumer, any reason why it's good for the consumer to have a yearly releases? Chat as well can join in.
If it's an episodic type, the idea of episodic gaming, if it's a small part of a story and has an actual ongoing storyline for a decent price, for example, an indie title price, $30 maybe, you release, boom, there's a story. Part 2's coming next year.
Yeah. If it's big enough, big chunky enough, I could, I think that's
part
the
2
only,
next year. That's literally it.
Yeah,
that's literally all I can think of.
Yeah, all I can think of is.
But first, then Shadow.
I was just like, oh, sorry.
But first, Shadow.
It's kind of what's happening to the Dark Pictures anthology, which are released like every year, every 1.5 year. Which is like almost an episodic. They are discontinued. They're disconnected episodes, but they are episodes. It's an episodic anthology, and it works pretty well.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Shadow?
The very barest bones of just like I get more of the game that I like. Yay! But does it really matter because the game is shit?
Yeah, exactly. It's just like you're rehashing the same formula year in and year out and year in and year out. It's like Nintendo, Activision, Battlefield. They're all doing basically the same thing and just going, okay, this time it's World War II. It's like this, or this time it's on a different continent for Pokemon or whatever. It's just a case of it's still the same gameplay.
Yeah, it's just like it's in a different hat.
Yay! If I wanted that, I'd play Team Fortress.
Yeah, at least Team Fortress is going out for like
I mean,
fucking forever now.
there is an appeal to something that's new and fresh. Otherwise, we'd still be playing Doom. You know,
True.
I think to just discard the fact that a fresh coat of paint is not a good thing. I think, like, I just think that you don't repaint your house every year. You know,
No.
you repaint your house every 3 years once it gets a bit ratty looking. You know, it's the same kind of principle. You don't release a new game every single year. You release a new game, every so often. Once you started to see the peter out, that's when you want to get the interest and say, okay, we got a new game coming. Yep.
Yeah,
exactly.
If you're running a series of titles such as the franchises, Call of Duty, Battlefield, etc., you wait until like the previous one has run its course, and then you go, here's the next one, and then people are like, oh, brilliant, new one, and rather than just going like, new one, I'm not done with this one yet. It's like getting the dessert halfway through a steak.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the problem is that usually this is not done because it's what players want. It's usually done because it's what
Stockholders want.
Yeah, it's what the stuff. You got to make that cash. We got to make even the cash.
The line must go up.
Yep,
The
exactly.
line
That line, make that line go higher. We want stock value. We are the people buying your game, and we are getting thoroughly pissed off.
Oh yeah, to be fair, that's always going to happen. I think we kind of already covered the topic that we can in this. So I want to move it along to our next topic: monopolies in gaming, which is the key title for tonight's episode. Because of course, with the acquisition of Activision was King into the Microsoft ecosystem, that presents an issue within the industry. Now, Activision have come out and said, and as such have Xbox, that there are no plans in the future to renege on agreements with PlayStation and such, and having so basically saying Call of Duty will continue to come on PlayStation.
Yeah,
which for now, and I think that their tidings is that pretty much it will always come out on PlayStation. There might be like some exclusive stuff only for Xbox, but generally speaking, I think it's pretty safe to say because Call of Duty makes money. It'd be stupid for them to renege it just to one console. They can
exactly. Yeah,
I think
they can get much more money from selling Call of Duty to PlayStation than from getting people to buy Xboxes.
I mean, it's the whole idea of you have Xbox and you can sell it on Xbox, but they've gained enough goodwill through what they've been doing over the past couple of years to go to waste it on going, well, we're just going to cut off an entire line of the player base.
Oh yeah,
that would cause massive bad will between to the people who like I've played Call of Duty and I've only got a PlayStation and I can't afford your console, so fuck you. So instead,
that would have been a very long and useless con.
Yeah, that's just completely smashing all of the trust you've built up over the past few years. And instead, they get to go, okay, we can actually capitalize on this and say, we're still going to release on PlayStation because we care about the gamers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Make the right sort of noises.
Yeah. Now they have also said that, but other games might become Xbox exclusive. For example, if there were to be a new Crash game, that might, again, speculation only, that might be an Xbox exclusive.
Crash already was an exclusive for the most part.
Yes. Yeah, but not for
not for Xbox.
Yeah, but the thing is, even then, number 4 came out on all consoles. The Crash, the Insane Trilogy came out on all consoles. Its days of being exclusive are long past. What do people feel about this whole thing?
I don't really have a horse. I don't really have a horse, at least in the exclusives race, because I've not really been in the Sony ecosystem at all, kind of thing, or even the Microsoft one, to be quite frank. But I have in PC games, but that's a different sort of horse entirely.
Yeah.
But I mean, Monopolies scare the fucking shit out of me, kind of thing, and especially because we see what happens when they're given an opportunity of free reign on their own consoles, kind of thing, with Nintendo. Because like Nintendo could do whatever the fuck it likes, and there ain't a fucking thing we can do about it. And actually, I was actually reading an article in PC Gamer that I don't think is completely related, but it did throw an interesting sort of thing up, and that is Nintendo esque genres on PC, because Stardew Valley is, for all intents and purposes, a Harvest Moon game, but in a different, well, it's a Harvest Moon-esque game. And that's been mostly on Nintendo until everything happened, and then Story of Seasons and everything started to merge into everything. But that's a really complicated thing that we're not going to get onto right now. But also we've seen creature collecting MMOs in the style of Pokemon, like Temtem and Koromon and Nexamon, start to appear on the PC. And there's Super Smash Bros. Like games like the Nickelodeon Fighters and Warner Bros. Coming up with their own. So clearly there
Yeah,
is.
and
So
now we have the Pikmin clones coming up too.
yeah, exactly. With tiny
And we
kids.
have Mario Party clones.
Yeah, exactly. So there is there is a market for Nintendo to exploit, because people want these games, but they want it on PC, with decent fucking multiplayer like Nintendo would never do, because they're thick. I'm sorry, but they are just thick in that regard. And I think, I don't know, in a way, it's kind of like Nintendo's fault for not exploiting this and moving into this space, because if you leave the space open,
Someone will fill it.
somebody will fill it. They might not fill it as well as you do, but once that space is filled, even your big ass boots ain't coming back in here that easily.
And that's money you're not earning. That's money someone else earning.
Because
Yeah, exactly.
I kind of
Because they
saw
get their
this.
brand.
I kind of saw this when Crash Nitro Kart came out. Because Mario Kart is one of the big karting games that's out there. And there's not a lot of karting games really these days. That's really it. But then Crash Team, is it going?
Yeah, I think the only one that's kind of close to that area is the Sonic Racing series, but that's slightly different. Not enough to cover that kind of thing.
But then Crash Team Racing came out, and suddenly that's what everyone was playing across all consoles. Ironically, with no PC release, but it's what people were playing across Switch, Xbox, and PlayStation. And I think it shows the fact that if you take a Nintendo-esque experience and put it on another console, people will lap it up.
Yeah, exactly. You can hit those beats.
There was a game I played on PlayStation 3 years ago called 3D Dot Game Heroes, which basically was Zelda, but done in like a unique style, very a voxel style, and that was very fascinating to see. And it is today it is one of the rarest and most expensive games you can get and buy for PlayStation, because it is such sought after as a game. Yeah, it's go on.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's testament to Nintendo being able to create these experiences that people want to replicate them, but at the same time, it's Nintendo's, I'm just gonna say it outright, idiocy for not walking out of their walled garden to put their own to make their own mark. Like, if you ain't gonna take this space, you're gonna lose it. Because like what happened, you I keep bringing this up, but like as soon as Max has stepped away with SimCity, Colossal Order filled the hole. Like, somebody will fill that hole. We might not be nobody's got the creature collecting MMO down like as pat as Pokemon have, but Ooblets and Temtem and others are getting very very close. And once that gap closes, then it's closed. I mean, Pokemon could still make its way in, but it might not have the market share that it ever would.
Bringing it back to Monopolies, the issues I foresee is that we're entering into a very dicey territory in the future where companies can start to kind of almost leverage their size in a Nintendo-esque way. For example, if Xbox wanted to be like, we're just not going to put the next Call of Duty on your console, you're going to have to buy an Xbox. They could. They'd lose a lot of goodwill, but they could. And that's the thing.
Yeah,
Shad and I were discussing, you and I were discussing that all this goodwill that Microsoft have been building up Is it because they foresee a future where they don't have to have goodwill because they can just throw their weight around?
Yeah, exactly. If they're so big that they can earn money regardless, they don't need that goodwill anymore. They can just fucking be like, okay, you buy an Xbox. Well, I don't want to buy your Xbox. You're a piece of shit. Just like, don't care. You are nothing to me, kind of thing.
For every one of you, there are 2 people who are willing to buy my console to play this game.
Exactly. That's why you don't want companies to get this big, kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, as much fun as I am with the current lot of what Xbox is doing and all of the movie Disney are putting out right now that I'm very much enjoying. I need to start the Book of Boba Fett, by the way.
Yes, you do.
To get started on that.
You absolutely do.
That's on there, but all the Disney movies, all the Marvel movies, Star Wars stuff, and I'm just like, how long until you basically cash in all of this goodwill that you've been building up by buying and exploiting these companies until eventually you stick that hand down our throat and pull everything out?
Yeah, it's like when's the shoe gonna fall?
Yeah, because I have to admit, I've been saying this for a while. Disney Plus is the most versatile and worthwhile subscription service to own right now, and it is cheaper than Netflix. It is cheaper than every other streaming service. I'm like, when are you gonna suddenly come and say, "Oh yeah, we're quadrupling your cost for that"?
Yeah,
Because, like not even increasing a little bit, but like increasing it a lot because they know that they're worth.
Yeah, you've got the captive audience now. You're not going anywhere else for this, are you?
Yeah. So just as well, they might. When will they stop making an effort? Because right now they're making pretty much a lot of effort with the shows, with the services they have. They are very Disney is very interesting choice, like you said, the best platform at the moment. Similarly with Microsoft with the Game Pass, it doesn't really have good competition on the market.
To use other terminology, this is the honeymoon stage, lads. This is where we are getting love bombed and adored. Here have all this thing at the low price point. We'll do anything for you, kind of thing.
Yeah. So
but then the hammer comes down and it's like, all right, now you pay your way, kind of thing.
When will they get to the plateau phase where they don't give a damn anymore and they just release whatever because they're the only company that can?
Yeah, it's just
because for corporations, for companies, goodwill is a currency.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing more, nothing less. They do not love you. They don't love us. I enjoy their content. I pay them for that content. They do not love us. They love our money.
Yep.
They are doing all this stuff to build up a store of goodwill, and eventually they will spend it.
They'll cash it. They'll cash that check eventually.
Every company does it.
Yeah, they've probably got
Disney
PR.
They've got this prepared far ahead of time. They've got it. They've got the charts going. They've got the focus groups going. They are preparing for the moment where they go, we have enough goodwill where we can survive this move. And then they will do it. And every one of them does it. Disney, Xbox, Microsoft,
Nintendo,
Sony, Nintendo, they all do it.
Well, Nintendo's still fucking coasting on there. Just Jesus fuck.
I mean, is there anything else we want to touch on Monopolies before we move on to the final part of tonight's topic, which I want to touch on?
No, Monopolies are fucking scary.
Yeah, Monopolies suck and capitalism is a plague.
Okay, the final thing I want to touch upon is the digital age. Because and that is in relation to a topic that was in the news, but I've kept it as part of this topic. Earlier this week, Nintendo announced that from March 2022 to March 2023, it will gradually turn off eShop for 3DS and Wii U. First, you're not able to add money to your wallet, and then finally purchase any games. You redeem download codes or download demos. You'll be able to still download games you had purchased earlier and have in your library, but Nintendo don't say how long for. They supposedly will announce that in 2023. That's from The Gamer. Nintendo wanted to do this since 2014. They want to cut off the dead wood that Wii U was for them ever since they realized it was not selling well. Now they can do it and avoid class lawsuits for not supporting systems for 10 years. Now, here's the thing, and this is Arlo posted a fantastic video talking about this whole situation. We are in a very unprecedented time where digital is becoming a thing. It was for the PlayStation 3 era, and Sony said they were going to switch stuff off for that. And that bear in mind that during that era, digital wasn't really pushed heavily, and there was pushback on people then for the PS3, quite rightly so, because there were some good games that would be lost for that. What happens in 10 years' time when Sony and Microsoft are like, okay, well, you don't play, you don't have an Xbox, you don't have a PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, or you don't have a Switch anymore. We're going to stop the store from being sold. What happens then?
I mean, going one extreme step beyond, what happens if suddenly Valve collapses?
Yeah. Do you still own those games, or are you just renting them out?
Well, that I think is an entirely different argument, because we're talking about a company going bankrupt compared to a company intentionally ending support.
Oh, yeah. But
True.
Like I said, the extreme.
I think it's a good discussion to have. And I think that whoever company would step up would have to basically be like, well, you can't buy games anymore, but your library is your library. And that's the thing, is that we're going to be seeing a lot of this over the next few years. And I think, at least from Nintendo, the way Sony does it, the idea is if you've bought it, you can download it again, with the occasional exceptions such as PT, this PT demo. Because I think they don't allow you to re-download demos, because that would clutter up your download list. For example, I literally logged onto my Vita. I can download stuff as far back as my PlayStation 3 if I wanted to.
Nice.
Yeah. How long that will go for, I don't know. But I think that a company is behooven to do this in a digital age, especially where digital is becoming more of a norm, and where the point of digital is to overcome the limitations of physical hardware. Physical hardware, it requires space in a store, and that space is not always worth it. For example, if a game is not the new hotness, of course they're not going to stock it in the store because it's old. But then, what if someone really wants that game? They can't exactly walk into, they're going to go shopping around. Whereas they can just go to a digital storefront and say, oh, I like that game, I'll buy that. And I don't think Sony got a backlash when it was PlayStation 3 and the Vita that was ending support. Yet somehow Nintendo seems to have limboed under that backlash with the 3DS and Wii U shop, which is staggering to me, because if anything, that's worse. There are games which you cannot. But you have nieces, nephews. What if in 5 years' time they come to you and say, I played Metroid Dread Uncle Burr, I really like it. Is there another one?
I would have to say I'm sorry, little one. They used to be on Wii U, but Wii U is no longer with us for 4 years.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Smothered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I reminded Evac that that's the only way you can get the Prime series.
1,000. I think someone calculated 1,000 games will just suddenly just disappear once the eShop closes down.
Yep.
And people in the audience will say, "But if you want those games, you've got time." Yes, we have time. What about the people?
We have time, but yeah.
What about the future? What about people in like I say, the people in 5 years' time who realize these games were a thing and want to play them then?
What about the people who don't have the money now and won't have the money until post that time?
Yeah, exactly.
And then it'll only be the physical copies of the game.
That's not a viable means. People say, "Oh, buy the physical copies." Then no, because they're sold for. If I wanted to play Symphony of the Night, I've got to shell out £100. That's not economically feasible.
Yeah.
Someone isn't going to do that just to play casually as, oh, it's an amazing game. Fuck that. I'm not paying £100 for a game that I'm not sure I'm even going to like.
Yeah. And are you guys aware of the meme where it's a meme. It's a little comic of a grey face and a person, and the grey face says a thing, the white face says something else, and then the grey face gets really angry about
Oh,
it. There's a
yeah.
perfect little comic
Yes.
which is Nintendo going, you can't. It says pirate on this one, but I'll say it.
Mm.
You can't emulate our games. That's stealing. Then sell them to me. And Nintendo gets
Yeah.
really mad.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
Yeah.
this is
And then
what's
they're
going
just
to happen,
frowned.
Nintendo. People
Mm.
are going to emulate your games because they can't get them any other way.
Now here's the thing.
Mm.
A lot of people will strike to the defense of this and say, well, it's because, maintaining those stores requires resources, server space, and things. And my response is, yeah, that's what a company does.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
that's what a company
Surely,
does. That
yeah,
they have presented this. They've presented this as an option to do, and while they may not be obligated to present that for an eternity, at the same time, they also have an obligation to present an alternative. But here's the
yeah,
thing:
exactly.
they don't want to present an alternative. That's what it all boils
Also,
to. That's what
Yeah.
they don't want you to be able to download this because they want you to buy the game on your next console,
Yep.
and then the next console, and then the next console. And that's my whole problem with this, is there's a good reason why Nintendo are doing this, and it's nothing to do with anything of the fact that it's going to take resources. They're still going to free up resources. All they're going to do is allocate those resources to maintaining the Switch store or something. It's going to cost them next to nothing to maintain the current stores, digital stores as they are, and keep them archived and ready to go in case someone wants to download, Mario and Luigi's Bowser's Inside Story in 5 years' time. It's not going to cost them anything. Barely anything. If anything,
yeah, exactly.
if anything, they're going to still be making hand over fist over the new stuff they've got.
Yeah, exactly. Surely that's enough to keep the servers running.
Yeah.
Jesus fuck.
For how much does fucking server space cost?
Yeah, exactly. It's not like you're selling these games anywhere else, guys.
Yeah. Like, scaling back, sure, I can appreciate that. Maybe the servers will run slower. I can fully understand the store running slower because you've got less stuff working on it. But still, but no, that's not the reason to do it. They're doing it so that you're forced to buy the game again and again and again and again and again.
Oh, but the thing, you see, Ebac, this is Nintendo, you see, so you don't get to buy this game again because they just lock it up in there. They're going to be like, oh, so you didn't get the Prime series when it was on the GameCube or on the Wii U, then sucks to be you, I guess. Guess you're not having that anymore. I don't even think about emulating it.
It's still an aspect of it's them intentionally creating scarcity amongst the game.
True.
When there's no reason to. It's a bit like how someone says, digital copies, they are infinite. An infinite number of those can be sold, no matter what.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, all it needs is for you to generate a key. That's it. That's literally it. But no. I'd just like to recommend GOG, which allows you to download and keep your games. So if you ever need, so I would recommend making backups sometimes.
Yeah, I download and back up all of my GOG bought games. They're on a hard drive right there.
Yeah. Also, you are legally allowed to make backups of the games that you own. So remember that.
And GOG prides themselves on the fact that they are having non-DRM games that you can physically own if you do a backup on a physical device.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is my 3DS. It was my first Nintendo console that I purchased with my own money. And my first Nintendo console since my Game Boy Color. I purchased it all the years ago when X and Y was announced because I wanted to play Pokemon X and Y. Thus, I got the Pikachu edition. It is old. It is long in the tooth. It needs to be retired. It is.
I mean,
I need to get a new 3DS XL, and I've been toying with the idea. I've been toying with the idea of getting a brand new Nintendo 3DS XL, one with the C stick and the extra shoulder buttons and so on and so forth, just so I can retire this 3DS and have something that can play my library of DS games. Because I do have a DS game library up on the shelf. You can't really see it, but I do. But that's the thing, is that in 5 years' time, if I wanted to collect the games that I want to play right now, I'd have to scour the internet for and probably pay obscene prices for them. Like, do you know how much it cost me to buy Samus Returns right now from eBay?
Too fucking much.
Yeah, it's £50. The same. It's more expensive than it was when it was released. I can buy it from the e-store for about £40. Which also, by the way, Nintendo,
Still enough,
still
but
enough.
still.
Yes, by the way, Nintendo, if you are going to shut down these shops, I really hope you do a sale towards the end of this. You know,
No, they won't.
no, they
No,
won't.
No, they won't.
No, they won't.
It's
Mm.
Nintendo. It's
Yeah, and
Nintendo. Do you
not.
think that they put sale on their first party stuff?
No, of
Jeez.
course
Yeah,
not.
well,
But
at least I
Yeah.
hope they won't ramp the price because scarcity and deadlines.
They don't. In fairness to Nintendo, they don't tend to do that. But still, I wouldn't put it past them though.
But no, I'm now having to scour for a new 3DS. To basically, and also load it. To be fair, all the games I can buy digitally. I just need to get a 3DS, and I'm done. I'm also thinking about getting a Wii U because there are some games which I never got for that because, yeah, to be fair, it was kind of a failure of a system. But there are some games that haven't been ported over to the Switch that I'd like to play, like
Metroid Prime
the
series.
Metroid Prime series, the Wind Waker HD, Twilight Princess HD. Those literally are the only games that I'm literally interested in. But because if I don't, I will never get a chance to play them ever again. Gone. And that's the problem, is these companies are so thinking. Nintendo often prides itself on its history, yet it doesn't think about what the fuck it's going to do.
Asterisk. It's N64 history and it's Game Boy and NES and SNES history.
Yeah.
All the other bits of its history, it doesn't give a shit about.
Even then, I'd say NES, SNES, and N64, and even then, N64 has only just started to really happen. That's the thing, is Nintendo prides itself on its history, but it really doesn't have a fucking clue what it's going to do, like, in 5 years. Like, only... I've yet to encounter a company who's thinking, okay, we're releasing this game today, what happens in 10, 20, 50, 15 years?
They don't give a shit.
Exactly.
Or we just release it again. And it's the same fucking shit, like, every single year. Just like, I guess we're releasing Pokemon Snap for the N64 again. I guess it's Mario 64 and the Mario Kart for the 64 as well. It's just like, I'm bored of shit of these. I'm sorry.
Yeah. By the way, just dumped a meme into the dense chat.
Oh yeah, I saw it and it's very. Yeah.
Is that meme?
Yes.
I mean, people have often relegated these, like, Nintendo treat these games like Disney do their Vault films. I'd even argue that no, Disney've done a better job than that, because guess what? You could watch any of their you can actually watch any of their Vault films on Disney Plus at all. You know.
Yeah, and they also still sell DVDs of the original films, like maybe tarted up a bit, but they still sell the DVDs.
Well, the thing is,
like,
that's the thing is,
like,
they do that, but the thing is, they then sell out. They then wait like 8 years, and then they release it again. But the whole point is that you don't need to buy
at
it.
least they're releasing it again.
Yeah.
Nintendo's just like, nah, I couldn't give a shit. If you're not an N64 game, who?
Yeah, as the thing, movies are a lot cheaper than games, so I don't mind rebuying a movie. And if it's got like, oh, we got a couple of extra special features, I'm like, I don't really care. If it's like a big documentary, then maybe I might get it, like, because I'm like, oh, I'm very curious about that. Like, I think I think I know there's a Disney film I purchased twice, but I can't remember what the hell it is. I think it's The Lion King. Basically because I wanted a special documentary they did just for that version. So yeah, it happens, and of course, format changes. Like I had some of them on DVD. Then Blu-ray became a thing, and now digital's a thing. So
yeah, like it made sense for us to get like some of the things on DVD, because like we had the VHS. We used to.
People will say, "Well, Nintendo want to, it costs all this money," and here's my response to that. And again, it really doesn't. At the end of the day, these companies earn enough; they can absorb the cost, or they can get the cost back somehow. They can find a way if they're willing, but they're just not willing. Here's the thing: I remember first creating my first ever Apple account and having an iTunes account, and I remember that. Back in the day, Blu-rays had this thing where you could get a copy of the movie digitally. I can still download those copies. It's been nearly 10 years, and I can still fucking download those copies. It's in shit quality because they offered the standard edition as things. I wasn't thinking about that, but I can still do that. The point is, Apple, to this day, have never said, "Oh, you can't get that anymore." To me,
No.
Yeah, and also, may I introduce Nintendo to the economics theory of the long tail kind of thing. It's so basically, you know, okay, might not sell a shit ton, but you're still gonna sell a lot more for a long period of time. Maybe at a smaller volume, but people will still buy. Like if you put like the ROMs up and say here's a price for them, people would still buy the fucking things. They'd be like, yeah, sure, go on, kind of
Yeah,
thing.
you can ask Valve about it. They
Yeah,
are the
exactly.
masters of a long tail.
Yeah, and it's just it's ridiculous that I don't understand why they don't. And then they get all up, or
no.
then they all get petty when they're just like, oh, why are you downloading these ROMs? This is illegal. Just like, well, if you gave us another way, then we would pay for it, you know.
Yeah, I'm just if you as a viewer want to do what you want to do, go ahead, because in my opinion, Nintendo aren't doing anything to support gaming history.
Nope.
And
Yeah, and
that's so it's just because we're at a point now where we really need to be thinking about this, you know.
yeah, and the one thing that really gets my goat about this thing about how Nintendo behaves. I find pirating reprehensible, but when people start pirating like previous Nintendo games, I can't like fight back against that because like
No.
what option do these people have?
Yeah, we
And it's
have no
like,
argument against this because
yeah,
there's no other choice.
And people
yeah,
might
and it's just like, and I mean, you shouldn't pirate games, full stop. But when Nintendo is doing this to you, I can't exactly say no, don't do that. It's not morally right. It's just like Nintendo, you have literally put us in like the worst situation because you're a twat.
And there's one thing which I think people are also forgetting, which is there are games that are digital only now.
Yeah, like PT. Where did that fucking go when it stopped being supported? That just poof into the night sky.
What game are we doing next for Silly Voices, everyone?
Oh yeah, we're doing
Dual
Investigations
Destinies.
2, aren't you?
No, we're not.
Aren't we?
We're not doing Investigations 2. We're doing another one. We're doing
Dual Destinies.
Dual Destinies.
Ah,
Dual
yes.
Destinies never had a physical release. There's only one place you
Oh,
can get it. That's the
the
Nintendo
store.
eShop.
For now.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, Capcom. Can we have like the whole Apollo Justice trilogy on?
Oh yeah,
on PC, please?
I mean that's
I'd love that.
that's also down to Capcom, but it's also a case of people are forgetting that just buy the games physically. Not all games are physical, and people will say, well, they should be physical. Well, no, yeah,
Yeah.
So
Also kind of
the
too
closer
late.
we get, yeah, kind of too late.
Yeah, like that ship has long since sailed.
Ship
my
has long
friend.
since sailed. I would agree. I'd love to have that physical copy, but also that doesn't solve the problem. It doesn't solve the problem that that there's no long-term solution for digital ownership in terms of online stores.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
and the thing is, us getting closer to a digital market, a digital only marketplace, is, in my opinion, a good thing.
I agree.
As much as I would like there to always be physical media, I always like to have something physical in my hand to say, yes, I have this thing.
Yes.
Going digital only saves so much effort on so many ideas.
Effort, space, and money.
Yeah, on everybody's part, because they don't need to worry about manufacturing it.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't have to burn the discs. They don't have to make the merchant. They don't have to print the freaking CD cases.
It's cheaper for them. It's cheaper for us. It saves space for them. It saves space for us.
I think companies definitely are trying to encourage you to go digital, but the problem is we're then getting up against this wall of like, well, now 10 years later, you're now telling us that we now can no longer buy shit, and and also there's question marks on whether we'll even be able to download it again.
Yeah.
By the way,
good man.
Yeah. And
Um,
also, the law hasn't fully caught up into, do we even own these
Yeah.
digital things, kind of thing. I mean, we should, yes, but it's a very like
Yeah, the company's
nebulous
producing.
kind of
Yeah, the
thing.
company's putting them out as digital products. Can just slip a little line in the end user license agreement saying, "I don't own this. I admit that I don't own
Yeah.
this." And if the
Oh,
company decides that I don't own this anymore, then I don't.
yeah, relatively recently, actually, Steam users who had like a certain game, I think it was Agony, the uncensored edition, just had that fucking wiped off their Steam, like for some reason. I didn't manage to get into the details of that, but yeah, that was just wiped completely from their Steam library without them having any recourse at all. It just disappeared, and that could happen. That's happened before. Like,
Yep.
there's some games like Darkspore, for instance, just gone. Just fucking gone. Can't be downloaded from Origin or Steam or anything. Just like literally vaporware. Gone. There's no way to download it. There's no way to just disappeared into the ether. And
Mm.
this is going to become a problem.
It already is a problem. The problem is
Yeah.
no one's thinking about a solution because the companies
Yeah,
don't see any monetary value in it.
Nope.
And
Yeah, exactly.
and that's the this is where I think that ideally a third party company should step up and say like, okay, we can do that for you. We can we can absorb that cost and make some money our way. All you got to do is give us permission to do it, because
Yeah.
someone's got to. There should be a foundation or something, because it's not like
Yeah.
a museum isn't going to work. You know, it's not going to work because great, one person at a time can rent out the game and play it. Fantastic,
Also,
brilliant.
it's not how you consume this medium.
No.
Yeah.
You can consume
No.
like art that way.
Yeah,
Not
I mean,
really games.
yeah, I mean, I'm not I'm disquieted by the thought of allowing a single corporation to have it all under their one roof. A charity or a foundation,
Yes.
yeah, I can understand that kind of thing. But I honestly think the only way to get this to I think the law needs to step in at some point. I don't want the law to step in because I don't know what it would end up being, but there's got to be a line drawn in the sand because I don't think the corporations will do anything unless their hand is forced.
Yeah, there needs to be a limit. There needs to be something. The buck stops here.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Yeah, I just feel like this is planned obsolescence in a long term.
Yeah.
It is Nintendo saying, well, you know, maybe in a couple of years we'll release that game. You can then pay us like a tenner for it or 20
Oh
quid or
yeah,
whatever.
the limited Mario Sunshine release only for a year before that fucking disappeared into the
Yeah.
ether that you can never find again. Thanks, Nintendo.
And no,
Fuck you.
And someone put it quite categorically. That's like, well, if you object to it, then Kevin King Keeson said it. It's like, if you object, the only way to vote is to vote with your wallets and not consume. But then by not consuming, all you do is you miss out, because it requires such a level of people to do that that's not going to happen. So the only person being punished is yourself.
No ethical consumption under capitalism.
Yeah.
Well, there is some ethical consumption under capitalism, but it's very, very difficult.
And I plus, especially for the 3DS and Wii, they are so unique. If you think about it, how are you gonna?
Especially the Wii.
How, say for example, a company wanted to release their game that they had on a Wii U and a 3DS at that time, how would they do that?
I could see the Switch maybe being able to be jury rigged into emulating into the Wii, but the only good way I've ever seen of emulation of a Wii, like of those games, is a PC, because it's so it's so moddable that you can get a Wii sensor bar to work with it. But I mean, I could see the Switch maybe doing the Wii motion sensors because it's got its own gyro, but the 3DS is the DS and 3DS are the most difficult ones to emulate because they've got the dual screens
the
and
dual
the
screens, the
touchscreen.
touch screens. It's such a unique design.
And the microphone.
And the microphone. It's such a unique design that it is impossible to and time consuming for a company to think about, "Oh, how do we redo this?" I mean, there are some games where it's very easy for the Ace Attorney series. Very easy. You simply condense the text box from the bottom screen up into the top screen. Jobs are good, and you put your buttons in the corners so they're out of the way. That's fine. Very easy to do. Then there are games like Castlevania Symphony, the Castlevania Harmony, not Harmony of Despair. What is it? One of the Castlevania games where literally the game takes place on the touchscreen, and when you defeat a boss, you have to draw a seal over the boss, seal them away. How would you translate that to any games that's not on a touchscreen?
Yeah, exactly. I think the only way I've ever seen. Sorry, go on, Burr.
That was just to say probably what you were about to say, that the closest facsimile would be with a mouse on a PC.
Yeah, exactly, because that's got the only sort of, it's got the dexterity of a human hand.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing you could do, because a Switch can't. The Switch has got
A
the
touchscreen,
touch
yeah.
screen, but it needs the secondary screen. The only way it could possibly do that properly is if it was functioning like a Wii U. Like, it has the touchscreen tablet and then the main stuff going on the big screen. But then you're having to look down at the tablet and up at the screen, and you've still got problems here.
I'd argue that's probably why we never saw a port of Wind Waker as such, because of that whole system.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I give it to Nintendo for trying like having some weird and wacky ideas, but it does make emulating them a fucking nightmare.
That's precisely what Arlo said. Having proprietary-based unique mechanics as part of your console makes it so difficult for preservation, because there's no other fucking way that you can play it but on original hardware.
Yeah, and I think that's probably why we haven't seen like many GameCube games manage to make it onto the Virtual Console. Because I have a theory that some of the hardware of the GameCube is so specific and so strange that people just can't, like, they managed to emulate it on PC, of course, with the Dolphin emulator, but it's so strange that I think some games just don't come through that easily. Doesn't Rogue Squadron 2 have issues? Like Rogue Leader have some like
Even the
weird fucking
even
issues.
even the chungus that is my computer now can struggles emulating Rogue Leader and Rebel Strike, just because the architecture of the GameCube is so unique in its design, and its hardware was so. And that's the thing, the Wii U, the GameCube isn't even very powerful. Like someone even said, well, it's it's not very powerful at all. But it's more the base of how it all interacts with each other.
It's just the architecture is built in such a way that brute forcing it, which is what a PC basically does, is very difficult to do.
Yeah, very few people. I don't think anybody's been able to like reverse engineer it. Like, they can get close, but never, because some of them have. The one I have has the digital port attached to the back of it. Nobody has ever been able to reverse engineer those cables that it used to use, those proprietary cables it used to use in order to connect up to digital ports of monitors. So you've got an extremely rare cable, which are selling for hundreds of pounds. It's just like, it's ridiculous kind of thing. It's just. Anyway, where is my mini GameCube? Sorry.
But you were saying you wanted to say something.
Well, yeah, I was about to say that it might not just be about the unique architecture, because usually the emulation is defaulting to brute force, because no one can reverse engineer, or no one has any indication about how this works, how this particular architecture was built. So instead of actually rewriting the procedures in a way that they were working on the original architecture, they're brute forcing. They are trying to do all kinds of calculations until they get it right, which takes a lot of PC power and can emulate a weaker architecture like a GameCube.
Yeah, I wish. Oh, sorry, go on, Beth. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, it's okay. It's just the thing is that probably not even Nintendo, basing on how their emulator in N64 was kind of working and still is. They might not have preserved the specifications of how the architecture works for N64 for GameCube.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think they probably just destroyed the dev kits. I
Mm.
like there's a part of me that hopes and prays that maybe there is a dev kit somewhere, a GameCube dev kit that somebody finds someplace and like decompiles it somehow. And but that's a pipe dream,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think.
Unfortunately, we're gonna have to leave it there. It's a sad state of affairs. I sincerely hope Nintendo come out and say, "Look, okay, here's the long-term plan." Because I personally think that Nintendo Online subscription service is a great idea, so long as they don't change it up from console to console and they keep consistent with that, and they keep expanding the library more and more.
Yeah.
But that remains to be seen.
Yeah. I don't have
Especially because right now it is not very justified to
No.
Oh
get
no, not at
the
all.
extended subscription.
Yeah, it's not great.
Well, everyone, I want to thank you all for joining us here at the Comment Dense podcast, where we discuss the monthly news. We'll be back again next month. In fact, I believe it's the same day. Yes, actually, no, we will be back on March the 29th for the next episode, which we'll kind of discuss in the time what our topic for that month is going to be. We tend to kind of arrange quite close to the time what it's going to be. If you've got any ideas, you can always follow us on Twitter and, of course, give us some recommendations there. You can follow me back at the cat as above there. Every burr, Lemming Rust down the bottom corner, and Shadow Phoenix right beneath me there. I want to thank everyone who's in the chat for joining us tonight. We're going to shove you over in the direction of our friend Scarf because he is currently streaming. So I figured, why not? Just give the Scarf Man some love as always, and don't forget Game Blast this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Yes.
Yeah.
Donate money for the good shit, for the good accessibility stuff.
Donate.
Yes. Do the thing.
Give the people
Donate
the controllers.
and share.
Yes. Share like a shameless whore. Wait, no, that's
Her words, not mine. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Bye.